So, hello, I'm Tini. I am Tini Tuellmann. I'm the writer, the director, and the producer of FREDDY, EDDY. It's a thriller. I'm from Germany, and it's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde story. And it's my first feature film.
It gave me the creeps. I don't handle horror movies very well, and so, my sister walked in on me watching this, and she's like, "You're going to put holes in the arms of your chair," because I was, getting my fingernails dug in there. So she was upset with me for watching that. She's like, "You're going to be calling me at midnight because you're freaked out and you can't sleep."
Oh, I'm sorry. But it's good that it works.
Yeah,
so.
It works. It's really good. Okay, so how did you get interested in horror? Have you always loved horror, or?
Yes, mainly thrillers. If it's really horror, it's also hard for me. Yeah. So
the gore.
Yeah, the gore it's too much for me. But I really like thrillers a lot. I read a lot since I can read. I read books. I don't know how many books I read in my life, but the ones I like most is crime stories and thrillers. Yeah.
So who are there other filmmakers or classic films that really influenced you?
I guess a lot, but my father likes Western a lot, so I watched a lot of Western in my youth, and my mom likes all the Nouvelle Vague, the French movies, so with Alain Delon, so I really like these. Also the more thriller ones, of course, and but yeah, it's like the classic stuff. Scorsese. How do you pronounce Scorsese?
Yeah, Scorsese.
Yeah, Scorsese, and I love Heat, Michael Mann, and there's so many. Lost Highway was one of my favorite movies. So David Lynch as well. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the story. There's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde thing going on. It's definitely a psychological thriller. So when did you kind of come up with this story? What sparked the idea?
It was a friend of mine had told me at a party. He told me that his brother had an imaginary friend when he was little, and I didn't know that this is a very this happens very often, that children have imaginary friends, most of the time between 6 and 9, more or less, and they just disappear at some point. So he told me about his brother having this imaginary friend, and he was not allowed to talk to the imaginary friend of his brother. And I said, "Oh, that's funny. So what would happen if this friend would come back now that he's 35? And you were like, "Oh, that would be crazy." And so this stuck in my mind, and I started to write a story. And then I wanted to do a very small film with very little money. And I thought, because I'm quite naive, so I thought, hey, if this imaginary friend would look exactly like the other one, I need only one actor. And
I think that's perfectly logical.
Yeah, it's not logical at all, because I had to find a double. I had to shoot everything 2 times. It was a mess, but it's great now. But yeah, I didn't think very far when I made this decision.
No, logistically, how did you do that? Because not all of it can be with a double, because you see Felix standing next to Felix. At one point, you see both of their faces. We didn't have a lot of money because we didn't get fundings and stuff. So we did this whole movie was 75,000 euro. Nobody got paid, and I had to pay it myself. And so we couldn't do many magic tricks, but this one is quite easy. You just leave the camera, you shoot the thing with a double, you leave the camera there, and then nobody, as soon as the director, in this case me, says, okay, that's it, nobody is allowed to touch the camera or anything in the picture, not the couch, nothing. So Felix got the new makeup, new costume, and sat on the other side, and the double on this side, and he had plug in his ear with the text he did in the very last take we took.
So he has the same timing from the first take, and then in the end you just cut half of this picture and half of the other picture and put it together in the computer. It's quite simple.
Well, like you did it really well. Like you can't see. I remember seeing one split screen where it's kind of like, okay, I can see exactly where, because they didn't match it, you know, and so you could see exactly where the split was, but nothing like that happened.
No, I had an amazing crew who they did amazing stuff. The DOP is great, and also the guy who did it at the computer afterwards is super cool. He's working for a very big post-production company and did it in his free time. He sat there to correct all my mistakes. But yeah, it worked out quite cool.
I'm always interested when people are directing their own scripts. I know when, if you're a writer and you hand off your script to a director, you kind of have to be resigned to the fact that things change when you're on set, and you as the writer don't always get a say in what happens to your script once they start shooting. Yeah. But since you were working with your own script, like, do you become critical of yourself, or are you kind of like, you feel like, okay, I've got to stick to exactly what I had planned, or now that I'm here, I don't feel like this is working and we're going to change it?
Both. It's I didn't have much time because we had this budget problem, so there was not a lot of space for changing stuff. But of course, there were things on set where you realized, okay, it's just not working out like I wrote it, so we have to change it now, and there's plan B now because we don't have any time for plan C. I remember that there was one scene, and I casted it. We did a rehearsed it, and it never quite worked so cool. And I thought, why can't he say these things? And it's just because I was so stressed out. And when we were on set, I understood it was me. It's my fault. I wrote a shitty text. That's why he can't act it. And so yeah, we had to change it on set because I thought, why can't he? It's so easy. And then I was like, it's a fucking text. It's me. Yeah, my fault, not his. So yeah, that's
okay. So it's coming up on Halloween here. I don't know, do you guys celebrate Halloween or all
Nearly not. There's in the last maybe 5 years, kids started to run around and do this trick or treat, but nobody cares. It's silly. I already saw it yesterday, how people run around.
Yeah, people are starting to walk around in costumes and everything.
Yeah, we don't have it.
Really, it should be for kids, but we're in downtown Austin, so you're going to see a lot of adults running around in their costumes, which is ridiculous. But okay, so we talked about horror is creepy to you, so what stories like really give you the chills? Like, what did you try to incorporate into this that you're like, this would scare me seeing this on screen? For me,
the most scaring stuff is the things I could think this really could happen in my life. This is not like, for example, monsters and stuff. It's not it's so creepy for me because I know it's not real. I mean, you never know, but I don't think it's real. Yeah. So they can have the shock effect because it comes out with sound like, and so I will be like this. And
scary in the theater, but afterwards.
But afterwards, it's not like, oh my God, maybe a monster is coming to my house. It's not happening. But for me, it's like, Copycat with Sigourney Weaver. In this film, for example, she's this professor or something, and she's talking about serial killers, and she says the average serial killer is a white male between, I think, 25 and 35 or something like this. Yeah. So after I saw this, every guy that guided me home, I was like, okay, this might be a serial killer because he
could be a serial killer.
Yeah, for example. Yeah, it's it's things that could affect my life give me a much bigger impact. Much bigger thrill than.
I think that's why psychological thrillers get to me so much. It's because And did you go to film school?
Yes.
Okay. So I went to film school as well, and I like to study it and talk about it more than I like to really do it. So that's how I ended up here. But at least in the US, like the first thing that you learn in your history of film class, like the first great, film movement was German Expressionism. Like that's what everybody learns about. This was the very beginning was in Germany. And, I was thinking about that when I was watching your movie. I was kind of like, this is like classic German horror. That's not gory, but it's the scary thing is, not that there's a monster, but maybe you're the monster.
Yeah.
So that's what I really got.
But that's really interesting for me because in Germany they tell me it's not German enough because now we have all these art house films. That's
really?
Yeah. So they say, what? Yeah, they tell me it's very American and not German at all.
Really?
Yeah. So that's interesting.
Oh man! Another thing that I noticed, and maybe this is me reading into it, because like I said, I like to read a lot as well, and anyone who will listen, I'm kind of like, you have to listen to what I thought about this film and tell me if I'm right or not. But I felt like there was a little bit of vampire imagery that kind of creeped in there. Like there were some lines that, and granted, in translation, of course, I was reading the subtitles because I can't speak any German, but the lines would translate to, you sucked your brother dry and things like that.
I know what you mean. Yeah. It's that's funny that I completely forgot about that. It's funny that you saw it because especially this part is from the very, very, very first draft, and the story was very different then, but I took because I always liked it, So I took, and it had, I was thinking when I did this very first draft, I was thinking if he could be like a monster, like a vampire or something. So it changed a lot after this, but I completely forgot about this because so many years ago, but you're right.
There were so many things in there from, the old Dracula novels, where there's, guy has a deviant sexual side and all of these little creepy things moving in and a seductive personality where he just manipulates everything around him.
That's funny. Yeah, but it's also a little bit influenced by these old Alain Delon movies, from the it's called Le Samouraï. It's the maybe it's called The Samurai in English, I don't know. It's a French movie, and where he's like also a serial killer, not talking too much, but very seductive with women, and he doesn't have to talk a lot. It's just because he's very good looking and very mysterious. So,
I'm glad that's not just a fault that American women have, that tall, dark, and handsome. I guess it's...
No, I think this is international. It's an international problem.
We get it from our European cousins. Yeah. We do. Well, we talked to a person who was in here yesterday, and it was just a really interesting conversation to me, but he is a cartoonist. He's a visual artist. Yeah. And we got to talking about the role of the artist in society and like how art is perceived and what it means, to people. So I'm interested in, of course, we were talking about here in the US, but I mean, what is it like being an artist in Berlin where, it's hard to explain because here in the States, good example is actors. A lot of actors here, you can make a career of acting without studying. Most of them have not been to university for acting, or they haven't been to one of the big acting schools like Tisch or Juilliard, but no one cares. Whereas in Britain, every major actor has been to the Royal Academy or Central School or something like that. And I feel like there's so much more respect for the profession of acting in Britain than there is here. I feel like our European cousins are...
I understand. But it's not like this in Germany. It's in Germany, it's more like in America. It's, are you good, are you good? It doesn't matter. It's when you went to acting school, it's quite probable that you end up in a theater. So in the theater, I think it's also because you have to learn the skills how to talk so loud that everybody, without screaming, that everybody will hear you. And so there is a lot of famous actors who have been to acting school, but there's also the very most famous one, I guess, in Germany now, Daniel Brühl. He has never seen an acting school inside.
Really?
Never, no.
That's interesting to me.
So there's a lot of them who just, you have the skills, and you're very, he's also very disciplined, and so you don't need to go to an acting school. It's not bad if you do it. It's and if you did like the exams of the acting school, it's also good for the payment, because they have to pay you this and this amount of money because you have this exam. But you don't have to get an actor. You don't have to have made the acting school. It's not necessary.
Interesting. Here we don't have anything like exams. We have the union, the Screen Actors Guild, but it doesn't, like here in Texas, the laws are different. So you can do whatever kind of acting you want in Texas and not be a member of the union. But in other states, like in California, you can't do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you have to be a member of the union to get on to certain productions.
Okay, wow. In Germany we have some unions, but they don't really, till now, unfortunately, they don't really matter. There's only one union that can make really trouble. That's the union for the electricians.
Oh, really?
That's the only one that really works. Really, it's so
they can
crazy.
Shut down the power on your production.
Yeah, they completely can shut down everything. And they get paid much more than all the others. It's the only union that works. All the other unions, they try to do something, and it's good that they get better and better, but till now it's just electricians who have a right and the power to change something. So
what kind of art movements are popular, in Berlin now? Like, what is really the trending thing?
That's a good question. Well, it's because Berlin is not Germany.
Sure.
It's really
Austin is not Texas.
Yeah. I made this example yesterday. It's exactly this. It's very, very different. It's because it's very multicultural. There's so many people coming from everywhere in the world.
Sure.
So you kind of find everything. And because making a living in Berlin is still very cheap. It got, in the last 5 or 6 years, the prices got double, but still it's cheap.
It's still cheap.
Yeah. So there's the possibility to express yourself in every way, and still live in the center and meet all these other artists and stuff, because you can afford it. If you go to Munich, for example, no chance. It's just so all the artist movements, and it's outside because it's impossible in the city itself. But in Berlin, you have kind of everything. I couldn't. Maybe there's a movement I don't know about, which is very strong right now, but there is one in film. It's called German mumblecore. This is very.
Oh, okay. We have that term here,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
mumblecore. So what does it mean?
It's copied from America, and they improvise a lot. They just they have a script. They know where the scene would go, but the rest is all improvising. So, yeah, that's quite popular right now in Germany.
Oh, that's awesome. We had. I don't know, you came in on Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Greta Gerwig here on Thursday to premiere her new movie. So she's kind of the queen of American mumblecore.
Okay.
Great indie film actress and writer and director. So she's like you. She wears every hat. She's part of all of it. Are you an actress?
No.
You act as well?
I'm maybe
not touching that.
The worst actress in the world.
I doubt
that. I've been to film school, and I had this professor from Romania. He's a very old guy, and because the first year as a director I had to do everything, also what the actors do. So we had this theater play, and I was really a little bit proud that I did this with the others. And so after the play, he came up to me and it's like, you know, Tini, you know that there's many directors who are not very good actors, but they're still very good directors. And I was like, okay. I understood.
Message received.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, yeah, this is not my profession.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, so are you more of a movie person or a TV person? I mean, I assume you're a movie person because you're a movie director, but when you are just, to entertain yourself, do you like to watch movies or TV?
To entertain myself, movies, but when I come home after work and I watch TV, and I watch a lot of crap. I watch things where people would say, no, never. I would know. I can watch medical detective for hours. Yeah. So it makes me. It's just putting my brain out, and I watch TV shows. I watch The Voice of Germany.
As you say, is reality TV a thing?
Yeah. Well, the reality TV is because you have to stick a little bit onto it to understand who the people are, and I don't have the time because it's not that I watch TV every day. So reality TV I would turn on. It's like, who is this?
Yes, what are they fighting about? It's ridiculous.
So for me, stuff like medical detectives is much better because it's like one case, next case.
Yes.
And so yeah, it's just running. The next day I don't even remember what happened, but it's good to come down. I like it. Yeah.
It sounds like, I don't know if that's a narrative or a documentary style, but that sounds like Law and Order.
Yeah, Law and Order. Yeah, Law and Order. Oh, I thought it's because they translated, I thought it's an American show. They show real cases that happened in America where people killed each other.
That's very American.
Yeah. They tell you how the police found out and what they blah blah blah. So it's like a documentary.
It's like a real procedural.
Yeah. It's real. It's real.
Is that a show here? Medical Detective? I don't think I've ever seen it.
Maybe it's called
it's like CSI.
No, but CSI. I also watch CSI, but this is scripted. But what I'm talking about is like real cases. They show you what happened.
It's probably on Discovery.
It's like a procedural reality.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, this stuff I like to watch.
They have to come to America to find murder cases.
Yeah. Well, we have a copy of it also in German, but we don't have so many murders, so it didn't last long.
Like I said, it's very American.
Serial killer.
Unfortunately, we've got the serial killer over there in the corner. All right. Well, Tini, thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate you being here, and hopefully you get to spend a little time in our interesting city. And
I hope so too. I really like it. I think Austin is great. Yes. It's really cool.
Well, the rest of Texas has a very big German population, so you'll be right at home here.
You have very good meat.
Yes, we do.
I
go to Salt Lake.
Tried it yesterday.
Salt Lake, like we did last night. All right. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.